Hey, my friends, welcome to another great episode of the Stop Doing Nothing Show. I am your host, Patrick Almond, founder of StopDoingNothing.com, where high achievers live. You come there, you follow us on social media, you're going to get all kinds of stuff kicking you in the butt every day of every week to help you make more money, build a better life for yourself, build a better life for your family, and just to basically generally help you get up, get off your ass every single morning, and get stuff done. This is the second of a two-part series. I'm just going to warn you, so I'm going to be pushing you a lot to go watch the first part of the two-part series. As we get into this, you may actually end up jumping back and forth between both episodes. As always, I'm going to remind you that to keep getting value from what we're doing out here, you hear it on all kinds of shows, but it's really important. I'm going to need you to subscribe on social media, follow on Facebook, follow on YouTube, follow on Instagram, follow on Twitter, because I put out value in all those places. And it's free information. I mean, what's wrong with free information? I love sharing free information. I do it every single day, and I get a kick out of it myself, but I do a lot of it because it helps bring value into your life. I may say something very simple or very complicated one of these days that's really going to turn your life around. And I've heard it time after time again. So number one, if you're listening on the podcast, gotta go subscribe there too and leave a review. But if you're listening on the podcast, thank you for subscribing. If you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter or any other number of places or on Facebook, thank you very much as always. I always really do appreciate you giving your time and attention, because on the internet there are billions of places to give your attention, and you chose this right now. This is part 2 in a series which I called How to Get Rich, for lack of a better term. And I know it's a salacious title, but what it is, it's a way for you to start generating income, or to change your mindset as you're generating income, of ways where you can basically stop relying on the paycheck world and start doing some things that in a very slow, purposeful, methodical fashion are going to put lots of dollars in your bank account. Now, I am not talking about how to get rich quick. That is definitely not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about any tricks or magic potions or silly beans or anything like that. I'm just talking about a lot of the patterns that I've seen people used to start from nothing to eventually just grow to not only a very lucrative lifestyle, but a very freedom-based lifestyle. It's very important while you're building your income that you are doing the things to free up your time and let you do more of the fun stuff. In the beginning of being an entrepreneur running a business, you may be working 50 to 80 hours. 80 hours is kind of a lot, but 50 plus hours a week, if not 70 to 75 hours a week. But the whole goal for that hard work is so later, and not like retirement age, I'm talking about, a lot sooner than retirement age, you can do stuff like maybe put in 20-hour weeks or 30-hour weeks. You can take off a day off easily, or you can take a couple of hours off in the middle of the day, and it's not really that big of a deal. So I'm all for hard work, and I'm all for lots of revenue. I'm very much a capitalist. And that's what everything I'm going to talk about in this video is about. In part 1 of this video, which we put out a couple of weeks ago, I talked about a lot of things, bad habits that I see people do, or a lot of the get-rich-quick schemes, or things like affiliate marketing, which are not bad. They are just things that don't generate a lot of revenue really fast in the best way for you, especially in the best long-term way for your mental freedom and for the benefit of your family. So if you haven't done so, consider pausing this video and going and watching part 1 of the whole series right there. Now part 2 I've worked on here. Part 1 was more what I don't want you to do. Part 2 is going to be a very short list of the things that I want you to consider doing. Now keep in mind, there is not one way in this world to get rich. We could find 100 different people, and they've all found different ways to make money, to build their bank account, to establish freedom. Some people, tripped upon something like the pet rock and made $1 million really fast. Some people, like the Jeff Bezos of the world or the Elon Musk, can come up with great logistical or technological advances. There's just so many ways to do it. Most people aren't going to turn out to be a Jeff Bezos or an Elon Musk of the world. There's the average man, there's you, there's I, the guys grinding it out in the trenches, but there's still plenty of revenue and plenty of possibility out there. And I don't ever want you to think that just because there's 100 millionaires out there in your city that you cannot be one of them. It's amazing how many people out in the world are millionaires that are your next door neighbors that you don't know about, because the people that have the most money often are not the ones that are bragging about it. They're just living on the down low, keeping their head down, knocking their grind out. But they have a lot of freedom, which is ultimately my personal goal. I want freedom more than anything else, and money gives me choices, and choices gives me freedom. So you'll see me a lot of times talking about money in my videos, but ultimately the goal is choices and freedom. If I have all the choices in the world, that means I have all the freedom in the world. So let's get into it here. And again, like I said, if you haven't watched part 1, do yourself a favor and go and do that right now. So part 2 of this video, how to get rich part 2. Let's pull up the notes I covered here. Okay, first of all, everyone I know that generates income has multiple forms of income. And you've heard this one before. You want multiple streams of income, multiple lines of income, multiple ways of money coming in. You don't ever want to rely on a single vendor to have your money coming in. So today I'm talking about 3 ways, at least 3 ways, that you could basically use to generate revenue in your business. Now, sometimes people say, Patrick, just tell me what the business is. I'm not going to tell you what business to do. That's going to be up to you. I'm going to tell you about the business models that I want you to, first of all, study, research, make sure these are good business models for you. But if you pick any one of these business models, or if you're really smart and you pick all 3 of these business models, it's very possible that each one of these business models could, generate, $1 million a month business for you. And, who could handle $3 million a month? I know I could. I would be pretty darn set if I was at $3 million a month. But just pick one of them. I also see people failing a lot because they get overwhelmed with information. They want to execute on everything. Please make sure, like all things, slow your roll, homie. Pick one thing, execute it, get it so it's almost self-sustaining, or someone else can do it for you and you pay them part of the profit, and then go on to something else. Try to avoid reading too many books, watching too many YouTube videos, following too many experts, getting involved in too many programs where you are just jumping from thing to thing to thing, looking for the one magic bean. Because the one magic bean does not exist. And anyone that says that this is my one way to get rich and it worked 100% of the time, anyone who says that to you is absolutely full of crap. There is no such thing as get rich quick. Sorry, not going to happen. So, getting back to our main point. When you're looking at business models, and I mainly focus on coaching people in the world of thought leadership, the first thing I like to tell people is to make sure that you start, with the end in mind. And in our world of thought leadership, that is starting with a high-end product that you want for everyone that comes into your low side to make that as their goal. So let's say you are someone who does management coaching, or you teach a certain skill. You want to have a high-end product, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 product that is the goal of everybody that comes in your funnel. Now, everybody that comes in your funnel is not going to, achieve that particular product, but you want to establish that up front as the end goal. It's going to be a high-end product. Probably 5% of the 5% of the people that come in are ever going to hit that. Or if you're a Richard Koch person, maybe 20% of the 20% are ever going to hit that, which I think is 5%, right? That sounds about it. That's 4%. 20% of 20% would be 4%, are going to hit that. But I want you to start with that in mind. So if you're someone who is a coach or a thought leader or teaches anything like management principles, HR, stuff like that, make sure that you start with having a $5,000 to $10,000 product in your hip pocket that people can buy. This is not going to be a recurring product. This is going to be an annual product, an annual service, or one that stretches over several years, or you can even make it one that's like 8 weeks. But you want to have a large one-off product as your end goal, and always have that in your hip pocket. So when you're having conversations with people, you can just sprinkle it in every now and then, so people can, that can light up their eyes and make them open up their ears and think, oh, that's the really thing I want to aim for right there. I may buy Patrick's, low-end product, but I really want to get on that high-end product right there. So get that in your hip pocket right away. That's number 1 of our points today. Find a high-end goal product to get people in that is the very end of your funnel. And for some people, it might be $1,000 product. Some people, it might be $5,000. Other people, it might be a 10 or a 20,000 or a $30,000 product. I work with people that have their $30,000 coaching program as their final product, and everything else is guiding people towards that. A very small number of people will ever get there, but that is the brass ring, is as they said in Tombstone. I remember Tombstone. That's a great movie. That is the brass ring that you're aiming for right there. So that's number one. Number two, have a low-end recurring entry product to get people in the door. And by low end, I am not talking, really low. The lowest amount that I like to see of a low-end recurring product is in the high 90s, 95, 96, 97, 98, $99 a month. That is what I consider low end. That may not be low end to you, that may not be low end to some of your prospects, but I want you to start getting in the mindset and getting the people that follow you in the mindset of paying for value. $7 a month to me, $27 a month, $19 a month to me, that might as well be zero. I think once you start, twisting that screw down to $100 a month or $97 a month, you really start getting people's attention and you start making them pay more attention. One of the things you learn in this world of teaching or thought leadership or training is that the more you charge, the more people pay attention. When someone sees $19 a month coming out of their pocketbook, they just kind of blow it off. $19 is a trip to Starbucks. It's not that big of a deal. It's a trip to Sonic. It's a trip to McDonald's. That's not really that big of a deal. Someone sees a $97 charge hit their credit card, they're going to remember that they invested in something and they're going to pay more attention. And if you've ever seen, this play out, let me know in the comments below. But you always notice when you pay more for something, you pay more attention to it. If you buy a $2,000 car, you're not going to pay that much attention to keeping it up and keeping it look good. If you buy a $20,000 car, you're going to pay a lot more attention to it. And if you buy a $200,000 car, that car will become your life. So the more that we invest in things, the more that we're going to pay attention to them. And this applies in the world of training, to where when you pay more for a training program, there is a better chance you're going to jump in, follow the lessons, follow the courses, and execute on them. So this gets back to what I was saying again earlier, is that $97 would be the lowest thing monthly I would want you to charge for. That is my opinion. That's something else I want you to remember, is everything in this show is my opinion. If you want to start off something really super low, $7 a month, $19 a month, all the more power to you. You can also make $1 million a month that way. However, it's a long, slow grind, which brings me to kind of my 2A. The reason that we price this way is it's going to help us hit our financial goals quicker. You can, and by the way, you can charge more. Feel free to charge $4.97 a month or $1.97 a month for your product. And if you have any questions about pricing, I would be glad to answer them. Drop comments on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, and let me know. I will gladly answer those for you. So $97 a month is point number two. Try to come up with a mid-level service, something course or lesson based that you can offer for $97 a month minimum. Okay, that's how we cover that, Patrick. Don't say it's $97 a month. Say it's going to be $97 a month minimum. So point one is to come up with a big high-end program towards that makes the goal. There's the goal of everyone that comes into your funnel. Number two is to come up with a program that is a minimum of $97 a month. And this is kind of a training or a membership program. So a little bit more access to you than free. That's the goal of that one. And so we have 3 points today. And so the third one is another good way to make $1 million is develop your own product. Now, this may also be $97 a month, but this is not a service. This is not something where someone is buying a piece of your time. If you're someone who's familiar with a product like ClickFunnels or Fix Your Funnel or GrooveFunnels or any of those products, these are services. This is software that you developed that once you get past the initial outlay of a product like this, it's kind of self-feeding. You just give it some advertising, turn on some advertising there, and the thing kind of grows itself. So my third point is to come up with a service, a software service where people can subscribe. Again, I like $97 a month. This one you can get away with, I think, a little bit less because You can because it's one of those things that once you get past that initial capital outlay, it's a self-feeding machine. So you can just open up the faucet on more marketing, and it will get in there and kind of grow on its own. But again, $97 for some reason, $97 a month is just a really good number that I like to see. Now this is something called a SaaS, SaaS, software as a service. And this is just something in your industry where people can pay to access it. It may be a mobile app, maybe an iPad app, maybe an Android app. It could be a web app, but people log in, and it's versus it's not like a training program like we were talking about for number 2. It's more of a piece of software that brings value to their business. So let's say you're someone who's a plumbing coach. This may be a service where the plumber can use it to help run their business. It helps them with estimates. It helps them with invoicing. It helps them set appointments. It helps them basically run a CRM to help generate leads. It basically helps the plumber who is your coaching client run their business better. Now, how do you develop your own SaaS? This is where sites like Upwork come into play that are really useful. There's there's another service out there that really makes it really easy for you to prototype tools like this. What's one that I have used before? Let me pull this up here real quick. It just had it up. Let me see, pull this up for you. Bubble.io is another place for you to go and prototype some kind of web app that might be good for your particular industry. On the more advanced side, if you're not a developer and you don't want to be a developer, and I would encourage you not to be one because I'm a recovering developer, what you could do in that case is just go to a website like Upwork or any of those outsourcing websites out there, and you search for just highly rated developers. And finding developers on those sites is really easy. Oftentimes when I have conversations with people, they're like, oh, I have to go to Upwork and find the developer, and they kind of get stressed out about it. But you can go in there and filter, for 5-star developers who have made thousands of dollars, who speak very fluent English and have passed an English test, and who have very high reviews. And you research something with just those criteria, and you're going to probably hit 100 to 500 people easily. And then your biggest problem becomes filtering out the problem. In my world of technology and app development, the problem isn't finding anybody. To tell you the truth, the problem is filtering out to people that you almost have too many people. And this is just the joy of our global economy. It's very easy for you to find a developer that works 5 houses down and one that works 5 countries over. It's not going to be hard finding a developer to implement your idea. Before you get to that point, what I would encourage you to do is maybe use some drawing tools on your iPad or on your phone or on your computer and kind of sketch out how it looks. A really good developer will be able to take your stuff and turn it into a prototype and then build the back end for you, basically build all the magic behind the scenes. But that to me is a really good way to make a recurring income, is to develop a SaaS like that, and then your job just becomes rolling out new features in the SaaS. Again, SaaS, software as a service. Mobile apps are so popular these days, and if you're big on mobile apps, maybe you just do it as just a mobile app and nothing else. I've often seen some products and services just come out on a mobile app because we're spending easily half of our time, if not more, on our phone. I think I saw that 57% of my web traffic now comes strictly from mobile devices. So if you have any questions about mobile app development, or any kind of app development or SaaS work, feel free again to drop them in the comments. This video was not meant to be all encompassing. This video was meant to give you some ideas of some really simple things you could get started on today to start making money. Starting to make more money and generating revenue is the way, is your first couple of steps to getting rich. Now again, this video was not intended to tell you how to get rich. This video was to show you how to build the building blocks that you need to kind of build that base income, which you can then scale up and use to get rich. So if that's something that you're interested in, do me a favor again, watch the first video on how to get rich part 1, then come back and watch this one. Take notes on all of them. If you want my notes, I've got them here. Reach out to me on social media. I will gladly share my notes that I put together for these two videos. But the biggest thing that I think I want you to walk away with from both of these videos is the importance of, taking action on just a single idea and implementing it hard. A lot of people that want to get out of their 9-to-5 grind or the W-2 grind, which there's nothing wrong with that, is they just don't execute on a regular basis. And slow daily execution is what's going to help you do great things in this world. And that applies to whether it's health or mental fitness or a hobby or generating more revenue and bringing value into people's lives. Just slow daily grinding stuff is what's going to knock it out for you. So if this has been useful for you, do me a favor, leave a comment or a rating on YouTube or on iTunes. I appreciate it. My iTunes reviews are starting to rack up, and my iTunes stats are starting to go up. So the podcast is definitely growing there. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes all over the place. Spotify, iTunes itself, Libsyn, radio.com, iHeartRadio.com. Our podcast is everywhere. Please do me a favor and go over and subscribe on YouTube, and also press the bell. Boop, press the bell so you get notified when we upload a new video there. And get on our email list at stopdoingnothing.com, and of course all over social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find Patrick Allman there. I hope this has been useful for you. If it has, leave me a comment about maybe some other topics you'd like me to talk about. I usually pick all of my topics from user comments or from conversations I have with fellow entrepreneurs or private messages I get on Facebook. All those are what drive the videos I do here. As always, my friends, wake up tomorrow morning, put your feet on the ground, and take amazing, awesome action. You have the right and the responsibility to become a high achiever in life. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon.